Hey guys, how are you today? Hope you're having a great day. Hope it isn't nowhere near as hot as it is for me today. Welcome to another day, another goddamn Q&A. Thanks for joining. Time to get on with your questions and your topics and your discussions, your complaint, your insult, your attacks, your disrespect, your interrogations, your inquiries, your arguments, your words, your sentences, your accusations. No one's in the chat? Seriously? I guess a lot of people just joined to see my damn face. Am I really that funny? Like, oh, I'm gonna see that guy's face. He looks like an idiot. Yeah, I do look like an idiot. The lightning looks different today, probably because the door is open. Door is gonna be open today because it's hot as hell. And if I put my fan on the maximum input, it's gonna be too loud. You won't be able to hear the music properly. Yeah, I've been live for almost 2 minutes. There's a severe delay as always. I say something, you're probably gonna get it like a minute after. That sucks. These analytics are just messed up, man. So what's up, Optic Gamer? I mean, what's going on? It never takes these fucking long for people to show up and say something, you know. It's the fucking YouTube, man. What's this? Antiquia Lost? That's a Chemco RPG. That's one of their earliest Chemco RPGs. Let's get it over with. Oh, the stream's current bitrate is lower than the recommended bitrate. Probably because I'm trying to stream at 1080p, even though my camera is at 720p. You people don't understand much about resolutions, don't you? Don't worry, neither do I. So dropped frames 0%, at least it's a stable 30 frames per second. You know what that means? You probably don't. I kinda do. It's to get a stable movement of the camera. Like it's not lagging. Like I can do this and you see it just fine. And if it was lagging, if it was dropping frames, you will see it like this, like very small pauses. Like it's struggling to keep the focus on the frames. Does that make sense? That's the best explanation I can give you when it comes to frames per second. It's Mother's Day here. Maybe that's why it's low. Mother's Day for us was 2 days ago, but it's a Friday. And it's a really heavy traffic day. So of course, like many of you, we're gonna celebrate my mom today. So it's basically Mother's Day part 2 for us, for my family and I. Crusader of Sentiment. Pretty good song, huh? Hey, Jay. I'm always listening in on a Sunday evening, but I never participate in chat. That's okay, though. Don't worry. How's my day? It's going well, thankfully. Hey, Nemo. I'm fine. I can't pronounce your name because it's written in what, like Russian? Greek? Yeah, I'm fine. It's 1 a.m. morning or night. I don't know. Here is 12 p.m. Central Time during the day. I recommend Chained Echoes for indie retro JRPGs. Okay, haven't played it. Every day is a Mother Day. Really? fuck Green Grimoire? Seriously? You just broke my heart. I am offended. Hey, Blade of Mine. With all this talk about terrible localizations, what are your thoughts about Nice America? No, man. I've answered that question way too many times. There's a couple of videos on my second channel. Go check them out. I think I decided like several months ago to give Nice America a break. After all, I have a good relationship with those guys. It's probably the only company, well, there's maybe 2 or 3 more, but it's one of the best companies out there with which I have a good business relationship. Still, I've always criticized their localizations, and I still do, but it's time to give those guys a break. 10 things we still don't know about Erick Landon. Come on, man. 10 things you don't know about Erick Landon RPG. I think you know everything at this point. I'm a pretty transparent person, and I shouldn't be. Being this transparent and honest, it's always a double-edged sword. You know, it benefits me as much as it hurts me and affects me. So, yeah, I think you know everything. What else is there to know? Maybe things some of you probably didn't know. Like I play the guitar. Like I used to be a musician. Like, what are my favorite bands? My favorite movies, books. Maybe I should do a video about my favorite everything. Not JRPGs. Haha. You already know what are my favorites, right? Cross, Valkyrie, you know, Suikoden, Growlancer, etc. Fire Emblem, the old ones. Right? How many Gatorade do you drink every day? I don't drink Gatorade, man. I've had this bottle for like a year. I'm the type of person who reuses bottles, you know, just to keep... This is just water. Natural water that I put in the freaking fridge so it can be cold during the summer and spring. And that's it. I should rip this fucking sticker off, man. It's like too... Not a fan of free-to-play games, so I'll probably never play Genshin Impact or Honkai Star Rail. They can be the best video games in existence. I'm not gonna play them. I don't feel comfortable playing free-to-play games. They don't feel like real video games to me. My opinion, though, if you enjoy those games, good for you. You know, nothing against them. I'm just not a fan of those games. Best game in the Trails series. That's a contest we've discussed before. I think I'm gonna have to choose Cold Steel 4. I could choose Reverie because of the gameplay. It's awesome. It's the best gameplay in the series. But Cold Steel is almost just as good, and it has better storytelling, and it's the epic ending to the Cold Steel saga. So I think Cold Steel 4 is probably my favorite Trails game, and then a close second will be either Reverie or Sky Second Chapter. Really like the Valkyria Chronicles video. So much I didn't know about the game. Oh, thanks, man. That was a great video. Whenever people ask me, you guys have asked me this question before for years. Not too often, but whenever you do, you ask me like, what are my favorite videos that I've done? And always the first ones that come to mind, and you probably already know this, you're witnesses. I always mention that series. I feel bad for abandoning that series a long time ago, but back then I cared a lot about the views and the revenue, and nowadays I still care about the revenue, but the views are down no matter what I do nowadays. It's pretty much crystal clear that I'm gonna be forever shadow banning this website from now on, so might as well just do whatever the fuck I want, and whatever the fuck I want to do right now is bring back 10 things you didn't know about. It's a great series. It's not 100% original, but I love it. You know, I love learning more about the game, about the games that I love. You know, it's always a blast to find out certain things. Because don't think I know everything. Whenever I do those videos, don't think I already know everything. You know, some things I already do, right? But others, you know, as soon as I start doing my research, I'm like, man, I didn't know this. You know, Valkyria Chronicles was like this, or it was supposed to be a PS2 game, or some stuff like that. I'm like, man. So the same fascination you guys get when you watch the video is the same one that I get when I make the video. Like, oh man, and I get so excited, right? So glad to know you guys, some of you enjoy the video. If you haven't seen the video, see it. It's okay, no spoilers whatsoever. In fact, some of the 10 things videos that I've done, even though they don't have spoilers, they may have or show a thing or two, very small, but not really. But this one, I think I made sure not to show any important spoilers, so even if you haven't played the game or haven't finished it, feel free to watch it. Maybe it'll get you to play the game, because, man, Valkyria Chronicles, that's an absolute must-play, man. Definitely. Since Microsoft recently shut down Tango Gameworks, we just made a video, Oscar and I, for Discussion Gamer. We'll probably upload the video in a couple of weeks about some studios shutting down and the video game crisis of nowadays. Anyway, back to your question. Since Microsoft shut the studio down, their first and only Japanese developer, do you agree they will barely have a chance in the Japanese market anymore? Everything is globalized nowadays. I don't know why they shut down that studio. But since everything is pretty globalized nowadays, I don't think there's a lot to worry about. But they will probably lose more audience and more interest and more money from Japan directly. But I don't think it's gonna hurt them that much. What are your thoughts on Code Vein? I'm a big fucking fan, man. I love the game. Is there a certain song which was so good that it introduced you to a certain game of a series? For me, it was Atrocious Raid into Trail series. I don't know, good question. You mean like I heard the song before I played the game, or I knew about the game, right? I feel like there's gotta be one. There's obviously one, but I can't think of one right now. It's probably not an RPG. Probably not. I can't answer the question right now, man, but I don't know. But I feel like there's gotta be one. That one game that I became a fan of thanks to the music. Thanks to having listened to the music or one song first. But I can't think of one right now. Because I usually don't listen to music of games that I haven't played. You finished Valkyria Chronicles 2. Yeah, it's a bit of a game that has a bad reputation, but it's still a great game. I think it's the worst Valkyria game, in my opinion, but the worst doesn't necessarily mean bad. It's still pretty damn good, right? And it's always better, to do that, right? I mean, when you play a game, when you jump in a game expecting the worst, I mean, you always, most of the time, 9 out of 10 times, you get like a better experience. Like when you have low expectations, when you already like, oh, the internet told me the game is bad, and I play it and it's great, that feeling, right? Oh my god, it's definitely not bad. That happened to me recently with Mato Anomalies. I made a review based on it in this channel. It was pretty much an extra episode, a surprise video. So I ended up doing 3 videos this week. That was crazy. So check the video out, Mato Anomalies. I was like, man, the entire internet told me it was terrible, that it had mixed reviews, negative reviews, that it was just a mediocre game, blah, blah, blah. And when I played it, I was like, man, it's gonna suck, isn't it? It didn't fucking suck. So check out my review. Oh man, lots of questions about Valkyria Chronicles. Thanks. I play Valkyria Chronicles, and can I ask one question for the series? Can I skip Valkyria Chronicles 2? Sure, yeah, it's a direct sequel, but it takes place in a different place, and you're not missing much in terms of story. Gameplay-wise, it's still a fun game, but in terms of story and characters, it's the worst. And it's not that great in that department. In terms of gameplay, it's still great, but in music and battle mechanics, it's still great. But story and characters, you're not missing much. Yes, you can skip it. If you don't want to play it, skip it. But play 3. 3, it's fan-translated, never came out of Japan, but there's an English translation that you can't skip. Okay? Hey Rosland, I'm fine. How are you? Microsoft has been in the gutter the past week. Well, it was like Microsoft is like the modern Sega, doing nothing but stupid shit. I'm convinced that Lost Odyssey won't ever come to PC at all. We'll see. I think what's gonna happen is that maybe we'll get some kind of remaster report to Xbox Series X or something, and then it'll finally come to PC, but I kind of doubt it too. YouTube is getting crazy about these ads. Are you guys getting a lot of ads? I can have some control to a certain extent about the ads, but 90% of the control comes from YouTube, man. Sorry. Shinji Mikami left Tango months before the shutdown. Okay. Thanks so much for these weekly streams, Eric. No, man, thank you for showing up and being here. Like, I wouldn't bother if there was only like 10 people watching. I'm lying, I still bother. Twitch. Like 5 people watching and I'm still there. You're welcome. Have you beat Wild Arm, every Wild Arms game, except for Crossfire on a PSP? Pretty much, yep. Well, I didn't beat the, didn't even play the mobile game, Million Memories. Didn't even bother with it. But Wild Arms 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, yes, I did beat them. Every single one of them. Crossfire, I couldn't be bothered with it, to be honest. It's a really messed up game, man. Really wanted to like that game. Complete waste of potential. But the others, yeah, I beat them all. I made a video called Wild Arms Worst to Best. Check it out. I also made one for Fire Emblem. I know I don't have a lot of Fire Emblem fans, because most of my fans are like me, right? They like the old Fire Emblem games. The new ones are like something else that shouldn't even be called Fire Emblem anymore. But there you go. I've ranked a lot of series from worst to best. I think I remember the first one was in January of 2019. That was Star Ocean Worst to Best. And that's my most popular one. So Star Ocean 6 isn't there, obviously. Someone's gonna ask now, where would I rank 6 in that video? I don't know yet. If I were to make that video right now, man, I don't know where I would put 6, and then Star Ocean: The Second Story will still be number 1, and now more so because of the remake, which was freaking awesome, right? So 2 will still be the same, the number 1. 6 will probably be a close second. 6, yeah. I think I need to beat 6 again, just to make absolutely sure. But 6 is definitely a close second, man. Mato Anomalies, put it on my wish list because of your video. People rated it so bad. I think the only problem with Mato Anomalies is the script. I don't know if it's the localization team that added some woke agenda in there, or the developers themselves wrote it like this. I don't know about that. But there's barely any political messages in there. Just a few sentences that are like, oh my god, this is so fucking modern feminism, or this is so fucking gay, or this is so fucking, you know. But there's just a few, okay? It's still very worth playing, and I've seen it for dirt cheap nowadays. I think I've seen it many times for like $20, $25. Yeah, get it on PS5 though. I think the Switch version has some technical issues. Like 9 out of 10 Switch fucking games, right? I love the Switch, guys, but god damn it. PS4, PS5 version, go for that version. And don't expect too much out of it. You know, if you got hyped because of my review, don't. You know, you're still gonna get some, well, just don't expect too much out of it, and you'll enjoy it better. Your opinion on Monochrome Mobius. That's the best username I've ever seen in my life, man. Great username. Pretty creative. Genius. Monochrome Mobius, I made a review based on it. Check it out. If you don't want to watch a review, you can watch a video that I did called Top 10 Super Obscure RPG Gems Part 3. It's also there. What about Wild Arms 3? You should play Wild Arms 5. In my opinion, it's the best one. How do you feel about Persona becoming yearly releases? They're milking the series, you know, they realize it's an extremely popular franchise nowadays, so they are trying to get anything out of it. Whatever they can, as much as they can. It's getting insane. Persona is like Final Fantasy nowadays, you know, it's just insanely popular, so there you go. How is my mom doing? She's doing great, thanks. She's doing great, man. Thanks for asking. We're gonna celebrate Mother's Day today. Mother's Day for Mexico is always May 10th. Always, since forever. But we're gonna celebrate her until today. What's your favorite console for RPGs? That will be the PlayStation 2, man. You love Fire Emblem? I love it too. I just have a big problem with Fates and Engage. But the rest I love. Who do you think the oldest Final Fantasy character from Born? Case like Titus and Lightning. What? You trying to ask who is the oldest Final Fantasy character? You got Bash from Final Fantasy 12. The guy is probably in his 40s, right? Do you believe that a creator... okay. Do you believe that a creator's earlier work is generally considered their best? People like the director Quentin Tarantino believe age dulls creativity output quality. I don't know. What do you think of me? Do you think my earlier work in terms of video making is the best? I don't know how I feel about that. I think it's pretty circumstantial. It depends on the author. I do believe there are some authors, movie directors, video game developers, where their earlier work is much better than the modern one. But there's also a lot of creators that are the opposite for me. Like, I like their modern work much more. I don't know, Well, this is a JRPG channel, so let's talk about JRPGs. I was just gonna put an example on a band. Like Deftones, for example. Just real quick, I think their earlier work is better than the modern one, but I still like the modern one. Anyway, so... for example, any JRPG series, I think I'm gonna have to go with Dragon Quest. Like Final Fantasy, for example, is that. The earlier work is the best one for me, and the modern work is just not. But Dragon Quest, surprisingly for me, is like the opposite. I think the earlier games are too hard to play, too difficult to understand, too grindy, and then, in my opinion, Dragon Quest got better with every entry. From like Dragon Quest 7 and onward, the games felt better for me personally, and I like them more, right? So that's a good example. What else? There's gotta be another JRPG series that the modern games are better than the previous ones. Definitely not Fire Emblem, unfortunately, but there's gotta be another one. This is not a series, but this is a company. And I think most of them, okay, not all of them, they're still releasing some really bad JRPGs, right? But I think Compile Heart, for example, got better with some releases like Dead End Request 1 and 2, for example. Or Dragon Star Varnir, which isn't great. It's not a great game, but it's a good game. And the Neptunia series, for example, when it came out, it wasn't that... It was kind of bad, to be honest. And even the Neptunia series, which I'm not a fan of, it got better, right? So, there you go. I think it's circumstantial. Some creators, some developers... their earliest work is not that great, and then their modern work is better. Like his random example that I've been playing, I did a company with only like 2 or 3 games. I've been playing an action RPG, kind of like a Room Factory-ish, called Potion Permit, and it came out like a couple of years ago, and it's great. But this is the same company that developed Azure Saga, and that's a really mediocre, forgettable... mediocre at best video game. It's a turn-based RPG, and it's like, no, I do not recommend it, guys. But Potion Permit, it's pretty cool, right? So yeah, it's circumstantial, man. So I disagree with Quentin Tarantino. I'm a big fan of Quentin Tarantino, but I disagree. Yeah. How do you like the Persona 3 Reload? Is there anything you wanted to have? You're gonna have to listen to my podcast. I made an entire podcast based on Persona 3 Reload. I know it's long, and I know you're probably not going to listen to it in one sitting, but check it out. Everything I have to say about that game is right there. New podcast episode, that JRPG podcast episode 3 coming soon, guys. All thanks to the people at Patreon. You want to support this podcast? You like it? Join the Patreon page so you can support it, financially support it. This is one type of videos that I wouldn't be doing if not for the funding. I receive in patreon.com. Link to Patreon in the description if you're interested in supporting my channel. Because right now, yeah, this website is like... They shut my channel. Almost killed it. I'm only here because of you guys, to be honest. Because I over the past several years, I created this strong, still kind of small but strong fan base, and I think it's still worth coming here, doing the Q&As and making videos. Otherwise, I will be gone. I've seen people who joined recently, in a couple of years ago, YouTube, and it just didn't work out for them, and they didn't have enough time to create a fan base or a solid fan base to make it worth it to continue making videos or content, and they just left. Yeah, YouTube it's bad, man. There's a big crisis. There's an apocalypse, but it's crisis, they aren't paying the same as before. Views are down, subscribers are down, social division, cultural wars are destroying society, destroying viewership, it's bad. We're in a tough spot, content creators, a lot of us. So, best way to support your favorite content creators, places like patreon.com. Like I've always said, just watch the videos. That's all you need to do. But apparently it's so hard to do for a lot of people. With the attention span. Oh, so that was your question, Vent. Then I don't know. Isn't Zidane pretty old because he's from a different race? But that's a spoiler. We shouldn't discuss that. There are spoilers. What's my take on Magna Carta? That's a pretty interesting series I've covered before, even in these Q&As. First game never came out of Japan, so I can't comment on it. The second game on PS2 is a sequel. I love it. And then the third and final game is on the Xbox 360. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. I never finished it, but I made it pretty far. It's still a good game, though. But definitely the PS2 game is the better one. Although, it's showing its age. It's starting to show its age. I don't think it's gonna age well. Yeah, From Software, for example. I'm not a fan, you guys know that, but I'd rather play Dark Souls than Kingsfield, to be honest. From Software is definitely a company that got better. Devil Survivor is a fantastic game. Do you know Kirsch? What's that? What's Kirsch, man? Kirsch? I don't know what that is. What is the way to get a fan base besides YouTube? I think other social websites like Twitch, for example, Rumble, maybe BitChute. That website, I don't know how to pronounce it. Forget the name. Instagram, TikTok, there are several of them. YouTube is still a great website to create a fan base. But if you don't fit their political narrative, you're fucked, right? So, if you stick by the rules and the guidelines, and you are politically correct, it's still a great website to make a fan base. But just keep in mind, that's the type of fan base you're gonna have. Like right now, I have a mixed bag of both. That's why a lot of people are angry with me. Because all these years, I did attack the modern culture and political beliefs. I do that pretty often in my Q&As. I don't do that often in my videos. I think it's kind of rare. So whenever I go out and make a video about like the Yuden Chronicle controversy, all hell breaks loose. Because a lot of fans are not used to that type of content. But yeah, it's a good place to make a fan base, man. It's just not for people like me anymore. What are your overall... What? Damn, guys, I'm missing a lot of your questions. If I miss a question, just ask again. Don't worry. Preferably with a donation. No, I'm serious. What are your overall thoughts on this 9th generation of console so far? It's pretty concerning because the PlayStation 5, for example, they said it's halfway through its lifespan. And that's worrisome because, number one, half of the world, Most gamers don't have a PS5. It's too fucking expensive, and it's been 3.5 years. And for Sony to go out there and announce, oh, the console's halfway through, you know, when it's only been there for like 3.5 years, that's concerning, to be honest. Xbox, I don't have a strong opinion or barely any opinion because I'm not a fan of Microsoft and I don't buy Xbox consoles. Nothing against them. I don't know, I'm fine with PlayStation and Nintendo. Xbox did some great things with Game Pass. Everybody knows that, you know, but they are trying to, like, shutting down studios and stuff like that. They've been making a lot of really questionable business decisions lately, so it's kind of worrisome, to be honest. And but the console looks fine. The console is powerful. You know, it's a great console. It's retro compatible. And Game Pass, once again, you know, not to sound like a broken record, but that's one of the biggest features of Xbox. So Xbox is fine. PlayStation 5 is also retro compatible, so that's a great thing. PlayStation 4 wasn't. Even though I think the PlayStation 4 is superior in almost everything to the PS5. The PS5, if there's one thing the PS5 is superior, is in that. It's retro compatible. You can play games from PS4. But that's it. You can't play anything from below PS4. Okay, but at least you can play PS4 games. And you can get a lot of almost every single PS4 game, almost every single, not all of them. And you can play them on your PS5. You can also migrate all your data from PS4 to PS5. The large majority of your save files from games you beat on the PS4, you can beat them on you can just continue from there on the PS5. Not all of them, but most of them. So that's a great thing. Nintendo, however, it has its ups and downs. I think the Switch is, in terms of hardware, it's good, but I mean, the resolution, the frame rate, that was Nintendo's biggest mistake for this generation. It just didn't deliver. PS5 and Microsoft, as always, are much more powerful consoles. So there you go. And Nintendo, the great thing about the Switch is the portability. That you have a hybrid console that you can connect to your TV and, you know, play on the go if you want to. And there's also a huge variety of games. Switch has more games than Xbox and PlayStation officially, and way more RPGs because of indie RPGs most likely. And there's less restrictions, less censorship, less political propaganda, you know. But still, it's got some DEI problems to deal with, like any other console nowadays and company. Overall, I can't decide. I can't pick on a winner because, like I said, this 9th generation is kind of concerning. It's kind of, there's a lot of ups and downs. But you know what? I'm still a PlayStation guy, so I think I prefer PlayStation. But yeah, I think this is the first generation in a long time where I can't decide like which one is the best console or the best company. And well, we got Steam, right? But I can't have an opinion on Steam. I don't play on Steam. So I guess Steam has come a long way. PC gaming, you know, has come a long way. It's probably the best one of this generation, but it's not really a console per se, so it doesn't count. YouTube is not doing layoffs. They are doing creator layoffs. Pretty much. You did great to show the world of JRPGs to newcomers. Thank you. But how do you feel about talking about the dark side of the genre? What do you mean the dark side? Like talking about covering bad JRPGs? You just mentioned Time and Eternity. Is that what you're trying to ask? You probably asked that like 10 minutes ago. Sorry, man, but you know, I'm not sure what I understand what you mean. What's your favorite Atelier games? Probably the Irish duology. It's just this, there's 3 games, but the third one wasn't that great, to be honest. The first 2 are fantastic, especially the second one. Ryza was also a killer, but Shally is one of my favorites. So if I had to make a top 3, number 1 will be Atelier Iris 2, and then Atelier Iris 1, and then Shally on the PS3, PS Vita. It's also on Switch and PS4. Erick, will you finish Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? I haven't even played it, man. I don't have the game. I just played the demo. I'll get it at some point. What do you think of this? What? Damn, man. I'm lagging behind a lot. You guys have a lot of questions today. Holy shit, man. What do you think of the Saga series? Not a fan. What Tales of games you never finished? Tales of Destiny and Tales of Eternia. All the others, Innocence, I didn't beat Innocence. Those are my 3. Every single other Tales game I finished. But yeah, Innocence, Destiny, and Eternia. Eternia, I made it almost to the end. Do you think Yuri Couple will work on Persona? Probably. You think East and Tails got better? East definitely did. Tails, yeah, I mean, we can only judge the last two Tails games, for example. Like Berseria got much better than Zestiria, but it was already great to begin with. And then Arise was great too. I wouldn't say Tails got better, but it didn't get worse either. It's still just as good as before. Best JRPG from 2024 so far. Well, despite the terrible localization, I think it's a contest between Persona 3 Reload and Eiyuden Chronicle for me. Kirsche is the VTuber that got banned from Off Kai from her political view. Okay. First and foremost, I don't really care that much about VTubers, and I don't know what Kai is, so... But thanks for letting me know, man. Is Wild Arms 3 on PSP a good port? Wild Arms 3 is not on the PSP, what are you talking about? Is it hard to grow a fanbase on Twitch? Very. Very hard. Very hard. Did you play Samurai Showdown RPG? No, I know the game, but I haven't played it. Is it even worth to get a PS5 for PS5 exclusive RPGs? No. It's not. I think the PS5, precisely the one thing that is lacking is RPG exclusives. There's barely any. There's just the last two Final Fantasy games. What else is there? Stellar Blade? Like, what else is there? The remake of Demon Souls, maybe? But that's also on PS3, right? No, man, the answer is definitely no. You didn't know it was possible to play PS4 games on PS5? It is, digital and physical. You can play your discs. I've been playing Tales of Berseria lately, live. And, I'm using my PS4 disc. Yeah, people are starting to say that, Kevin, that we might see a video game crash. I talked about this in my podcast last night. Link to my podcast in the description, but it's exclusive to Patreon. Yeah, I believe so. I believe we're heading into a video game crash. I think it's gonna be very different from the one in 1983. But we're definitely heading there, you know. I think the pandemic is one of the major primary causes of it. It just gaming got way too big during the pandemic. And of course, a lot of studios started developing games, and it got oversaturated, the video game industry. Why? Because there was a lot of demand. But now that the pandemic is over, and it's been over for like at least a couple of years, you know, a lot of people stopped caring about games as much as they did during the pandemic. So now there's a lot of offer, and there's just not as much demand as it once was, right? And let's not forget about the political crisis. The inflation is a good... people didn't seem to care that much when games were like $60, $70. They still had money to pay for those. Nowadays, it's a different story. People have less money, and the prices are only increasing of games. So that's another fucked up thing. And let's not forget about the social culture wars. You know, people are just refusing to buy games nowadays because they aren't politicized enough, or they are politicized, stupidly politicized. So people are starting to fight with their wallets. And it's obviously affecting video game companies. Yeah, I do see a crash happening, man. When can we see a PlayStation will consider a PS3 backwards compatible? Those guys don't seem to care about the PS3 that much because it wasn't their best generation, I think. I freaking love the PS3, you know that, but a lot of people consider the PS3 as the worst PlayStation generation and the worst PlayStation console. Oh, that breaks my heart. But it's the consensus, right? So I don't think Sony cares that much about it. I think we can hope to see one day more and more PS3 games ported digital to PS5, hopefully. But like backwards compatibility, no, I don't think that's gonna happen. The Switch is too expensive. It is, and their games are too expensive. Nintendo will probably stay with the portability aspect because they found success with it. They better. PC Master Race? Have you played any of the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters? Nope. I know you're a big JRPG fan, but are there any Western RPGs that interest you? Yeah, The Witcher 3, I'm a big fan too. Dragon Age, Kingdoms of Amalur. If there was one food or meal you'd make to impress someone, what would it be? I don't know, man. Have you owned a Steam Deck? Nope. Trying to answer some of your questions as fast as I can. You guys are on fire today. What JRPGs did you play this year? A lot of them. Just watch my most recent videos. There's a mod to fix the Yuden localization. I don't know yet, but there's gotta be one for Steam already, or in the works. Mobile games killed it. Oh yeah, mobile gaming is another part of why the video game industry might crash. I wouldn't say they killed it, but yeah, they are hurting the gaming industry. Your favorite visual novel? Not a fan of visual novels. DV Dead. Do you think PlayStation is at risk of disappearing if a video game crash happens? No. Would like to see a sequel of Project X Zone. It's never gonna happen. The very important developers of that series quit the company. So I don't think Project Cross Zone 3 is gonna happen. Is it weird that I believe that action games achieve its peak and downfall during the PS3 360 era? It's not weird. I kind of agree with that. There's a lot of great action RPGs on the PS4 too. But yeah, PS3, PS4 era, that's when they reached their peak. Downfall, I don't know. Probably. Because they all want to be open world, Souls-like. I hope we get a Xenosaga collection soon. I think I caught up with your questions. Yeah. If I missed a question, just ask again. As always, you know. What do you think about the Atari VCS? I have no opinion. I'm not a fan of Atari. I know nothing about that console. So, no opinion. Is Breath of Fire 3 for PSP a good port? Yeah, it is. I think, well, the PS1 version looks better. But yeah, it's a really good port, man. You got a DVD collection. A very small one over here. Probably only like 30, 40 movies. You know, I'm not really interested in collecting movies. If someone skips entire cutscenes and dialogue because it's dragging on, what's your response? It's up to you, man. I think by skipping entire cutscenes or dialogue, you may skip important parts of the story. So you probably shouldn't do that unless you really don't care about the story that much. But then again, you're gonna reach that point, especially in RPGs, where you won't know what to do or where to go because you skip the cutscene. Sometimes you gotta suck it up and force yourself to watch annoying cutscenes that are just dragging on. What the hell happened? A gameplay? The fuck, man? Do you think JRPGs are getting better or worse? Both. Worse in terms of localization, better obviously in terms of graphics and ambition. And when it comes to creativity and originality, it's a bit of a mixed bag. AAA JRPGs are definitely getting worse. Definitely, in almost every single area. But pay attention to the AA JRPGs or the indie RPGs, no matter the country they come from. And you can still see a lot of originality and creativity, but it's kind of rare. I know that. It's just nowadays everybody wants to copy everybody. That's what they do, copy paste ideas. YouTube is a perfect example of that. Movies, TV shows, Netflix, it's fucking copy-paste everything. Originality is dying. Do you think we will ever get a new Suikoden game? Well, we're gonna have to see. It's depending on two things: how successful the Eiyuden Chronicle will be in the foreseeable future, and how the Suikoden remasters will fare. And then Konami will probably have to make a decision. If a Eiyuden Chronicle succeeds and that allegedly rumored sequel happens, Konami's gonna have to do something about it, maybe, if there's enough interest in the series. Some of the developers of Suikoden 5, the last Suikoden games, showed interest in developing a sequel, but it's up to Konami. And when things are up to Konami, you're fucked. Do you think Nintendo will be able to survive after Shigeru Miyamoto passes away? Yeah, it will probably take a slightly different direction, but there's a lot of people who agree with his vision. Yeah, I think Nintendo will be fine, but Miyamoto dying will be a tragedy. It will hurt the company a lot. I've noticed that a lot of Japanese developers aren't getting laid off. Do you see this as a sign that the Japanese market will overtake the American market again? No, I don't think so. China and South Korea are stronger than ever when it comes to video games. They were never like this. 10, 12 years ago and below that, there was barely anything from those guys localized. And now we're getting a shit ton of their games. Yeah, Japan still has a lot to worry about. I don't think PlayStation will go away. Sony has 3 main products. Yeah, exactly. It's never gonna go away. What's your favorite JRPG subgenre? Strategy RPGs. I wonder if you can buy Exilia off PS3 store digitally. I have no idea. Since I own the PS3 disc, I've never bothered looking for it. It's probably digital there. I don't know. Have you played Xanadu Next? Nope. I know the game, but I haven't played it. What do you think about Darkest Dungeon? Pretty influential game. Pretty dark. I like that, but I couldn't get into the battle mechanics. It's pretty much the same as a dungeon crawler in first person to me. It's not that, but it's in 2D. But it's the same. The generic party members that I care nothing about, and taking them to these really obnoxious battle mechanics and exploring the same dungeons over and over again with randomly generated areas, I'm not a fan of those games, man. It's pretty much a roguelike. So, not a fan. But I see its influence, and I've seen a lot of RPGs based on it. There's one called Mist Over, which was pretty influenced by Darkest Dungeon. It's pretty much a clone. It's just with cute chibi characters, Japan. And there's one indie I played called Circus Electrique, I think from France. And it was pretty original, pretty unique. But again, same bunch of characters that I don't really care for, or that I don't care about. And again, you find these battles, they're like with status effects, and they take forever, and yeah, not my type of game. But I respect the game a lot because of what it achieved. What year was the best year for RPGs? Ooh, I don't know. I will pick the year 2000 because Chrono Cross came out. And so did Valkyrie Profile. Yeah. I made a video series called The Best JRPGs of Every Year. Pretty small series, like 4 years ago. You should definitely check it out. They're short videos, like 8-minute long videos. And you see the best JRPGs of every year in there. That will probably give you perspective in realizing like what was truly the best year. But to me, there's been a lot of great years. It's really hard to choose one. But just for the sake of Chrono Cross, I'm going to choose the year 2000. Have you beat Lunar 2? Nope. Hey Eduardo. Recently played Final Fantasy VIII. I dropped it around 25 hours on these 3. I think the story is really outdated and doesn't make any sense. What do you think? I love that fucking game, but I have a love-hate relationship with it. Not because of the story, but because of the gameplay mechanics, the battle system, the leveling system. I hate it. I never beat it. I never beat the final boss. But I like it. It's just a lot of people don't like it nowadays for many reasons. I can't wait for Daybreak either. Genshin Impact is a Chinese game. There you go, Honkai Rail Star, also a Chinese game. Do you see this Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy as a waste of time and money compared to the original? Not really, you know. They're getting a lot of money, not as much as they expect. But it's still selling a lot, it's still very popular, you know. So I don't think it's a waste of time and money. Who's your favorite character in Eiyuden Chronicle? Francesca. I fucking love her, even though her dialogue was altered a little bit just for the sake of politics. I still love her personality and how she's like this. She has this multiple personality issue. I love that. I love Francesca. Was probably my favorite character. I love Mio, but barely used her because she just wasn't that great. Yugo is the better unit compared to Mio. In terms of personality, I like Mio more, but Yugo was a fantastic character. One of the strongest. Yugo was the equivalent of George from PS Suikoden 2 and Suikoden 5. Broken ass motherfucker, man. I like fuck, I forget the name. Leon, sorry. I wish Leon and Noah could have been like closer, like Nanami and Ryu, because the characters and their development were pretty much based on Nanami and Ryu. But I love Leon, and she was always in my party. Even though she's not that great of a character, she was great because of her agility, always starting with the turns, and I equipped her with a water rune so she could be also a healer, and she was critical attacks galore. Oh my god, 8 out of 10 attacks were critical attacks, so yeah, she was a great character nonetheless. Anyway, yeah, those were my favorite characters. Marisa, I liked Marisa because she has this edgy personality. She's always getting angry and she's very passionate. I like that a lot too. That's it. We could go on, but those are my favorites. Have you ever played Artonelico? I did. The translation is also kind of like, what the fuck, Nis America? What the fuck? It's kind of weird too. So, you have anything close to an exact number of how many RPGs you have tried or played? Tried and played? Probably over 1,000 at this point. Finished? I don't have a number. I used to, but nowadays I just don't. But I think it's easily over 300. Easily. Eric, do you have any tips for productivity? You seem to be able to complete so many long as fuck games. This is what I do for a living, man. This is my job, so I have time to beat them. And this is a question I've answered many times before, Sean. Just watch some of my videos called How to Avoid RPG Burnout or How to Deal with Your RPG Backlog, and you'll see a lot of tips on how to get by long as fuck games. Like, you people are the ones making them longer, playing them on hardest difficulty, trying to 100% them. Of course you're gonna get burnout and lag behind your backlog. What is the JRPG that got the most woke over the years? Probably anything from Atlus or Square Enix. We need Fire Emblem 4 Remake, don't you think so? I agree 100%. 1,000,000%. Been saying that for years, man. I think that the new Saints Row might be the don't really give a rat's ass about Saints Row. What do you think about Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance? Couldn't care less about it. A YouTuber told me that a video game is closer to music as an art and not movie. Do you agree too? No, because video games are way more visual than audio. You know, it's just, you gotta play them. You gotta watch what you're playing, right? So, no, I disagree. Who was your favorite character in Unicorn Overlord? I forget her name, the little witch. She was a pain in the ass to train because she was always so weak, but she was overpowered too. Very powerful unit. No comment about Momo, man. Lam? Oh, Lam! The glitch character. That later got fixed thanks to the patch. If you were to write another book, would it be in a science fiction universe? No, my next book is a guarantee. It's gonna be probably modern, and I'm gonna trash the culture wars from nowadays and the political garbage from nowadays, man. Oh yeah, I can't wait to start writing it. Do you consider Eiyuden Chronicles more lighthearted than the others in the series? No. There's still a bunch of dark stuff here and there, but I mean, sure, it's kind of lighthearted compared to others, but it's not that lighthearted, you know. Have you listened to Trails to Daybreak 2, the OST? What are your thoughts? Nope, I haven't. Just a few themes from the first one, and it's pretty good. Really enjoyed your video about Valkyria Chronicles. Such an underrated game. Right? You know, that's one game that sold over 2 million copies, all of its versions. And for some reason... well, okay, here's my theory on why a lot of people don't play Valkyria Chronicles. Any game of the series, not just the first one. It's a pretty... what's the word? Like, people are afraid of it. It's a pretty intimidating game. It is a pretty intimidating game. That's the word I was looking for. It's intimidating, not niche. It's intimidating because it's just... people look at it. I mean, you go out and play a lot of action and turn-based RPGs, and then you look at something like Valkyria Chronicles and like, what the hell are these battle mechanics, right? It's pretty intimidating. And it's complex. It's not convoluted. It's pretty easy to understand and get into. I remember the first game has this tutorial at the beginning that's just great. It teaches you everything you need to know and how to play the game properly. One of the best tutorials ever. Of course, you play the game, if you have experience on strategy RPGs like me, you're probably gonna get a little bit upset, like, oh my god, don't treat me like an idiot, please. But you kind of need that tutorial to understand. It gives you the basics, and it's a video game that holds your hand. And it is a difficult game. There are no difficulty settings, at least not in the original PS3 version, no difficulty settings, so it's a pretty challenging game. It goes fucking stupid, you know, in some areas, and some missions are just too hard. But it forces you to rethink your strategy. Like, you have this party, and you're, okay, I'm gonna go through this, and that, and yeah, it's like, man, what the fuck am I gonna do? I'm losing, I'm dying, they're killing me. You gotta rethink your strategy, restart the mission, and change your whole mentality, you know, and approach things from a very different perspective. You know, it's such a wonderful game, but it's one of those games that are rewarding. Because sometimes you beat difficulty spikes in JRPGs, and when you beat them, you're like, oh, thank God that's over. Fuck that. You know, you're still angry. Even though you surpassed the challenge, you're still angry about it. But in Valkyria Chronicles, it's one of those games where you beat the mission and you feel awesome. You're like, it's a very rewarding video game, right? It gives you the satisfaction that you pulled through. Because strategy RPGs, there's a certain puzzle element to them, and when you solve that puzzle, it just feels great. Even if you solve it like at the very end, you know, like fuck everything and I'm almost dying, but if I can get this one character to capture the enemy base, that's it. Your strategy was garbage, the whole adventure, the whole mission, but if you manage to beat the mission and capture the base, you're like, oh my god, thank goodness. But if you do a second playthrough of any Valkyria Chronicles game, you're probably going to remember that mission. You're going to be like, oh, I fucked up last time, so I'm going to have to rethink my strategy. Yeah, as you can see, I'm a big fanboy of Valkyria Chronicles. Probably one of my 10 favorite JRPGs of all time. Yeah, man. So it's a pretty intimidating game, which is why it's just a bit underrated. I wouldn't say underrated because it's pretty popular and a lot of people respect and have played it, and it's considered one of the best video games of all time. So definitely not underrated, but it's not as appreciated as it should be. The same cannot be said about the rest of the series. The second one has pretty justified criticism. I still love it though. 3 is a masterpiece, but it never came out of Japan. 4 is just as a masterpiece as the other ones, but it got a lot of, let alone the controversy it created. I think it tried to be Valkyria Chronicles 1 again. And it got some criticism because of that, but it's still a blast to play. Strongly recommended Valkyria Chronicles 4. Hopefully one day we'll see the 5th game in the series. And Revolution, I fucking love it, but it's a spin-off, it's an action RPG. As an action RPG, it's not one of the best, but the story and the music are very, very worth it. Again, I missed 10,000 questions. This music, man. Thracia. Love it. Love the music. I want to read that book. You will. Was wondering what you thought of the minigames in the Euden Chronicles. I have a crap ton to say about the minigames, just not right now because I don't know if I want to make a video about it or maybe on my second channel, or I don't know, I haven't decided, you know, but I have a major complaint about the minigames, and that's the fact that if you want to recruit every single character, all 119 characters, well, 20, but your protagonist is included, so, I mean, 119 characters, if you want to get them all, there's two particular characters that you gotta suffer through 10,000 minigames. Two of them. You gotta fight against several other characters in the same minigame over and over again. The cooking minigame and the Beyblade minigame, which I forget the name. The spinning minigame, I mean, oh my god, man. That was a pain in the ass. Why? That was a terrible decision. I don't know if Murayama himself was behind it, but god damn it, man. You don't force that many fucking mini-games, you know, on a player just to recruit every single character. I mean, that's just fucking insane. Oh man, but I couldn't complain about that in my review, because in my review the game was glitched and I couldn't recruit all characters, so I gave up. It was after I made a review, which is based on the bad ending. Well, there isn't a bad ending, but it is pretty much a bad ending. One important character dies if you don't recruit all characters. So after that, that's what happened. You know, I recruited every single character and I went through those mini games, Inferno, and it was just, my god. What's your favorite games in terms of its music? Chrono Cross. Erick is going to make a woke offensive book. I'm an indie writer, man. No one's gonna care. The woke is not like the wokies are gonna buy the book and then trash it. They're not gonna do that. I haven't played half of the PS4 JRPGs. Will you put in Euden Chronicles on top of the backlog? Yes. Just hope you can live through and tolerate the localization. But it's man, it's excellent. Yeah, I will put it on top of the backlog, man. Have you ever played or done a video on the Magna Carta series? I have played them and I was just talking about it like a half an hour ago. Yeah, I've done videos where I covered the games, yes, but not one video dedicated exclusively to Magna Carta. No, I haven't. Favorite video game from NIS America? Published by NIS America? Probably Ys 9. Or Trails of Cold Steel 4. Trails into Reverie. Ys 8. Any of those 4, man. What is the worst dark story in a JRPG? The worst dark story in any King's Field, man. They're dark, but they're fucking terrible. I can confirm I have Valkyria Chronicles on my backlog for years, but I'm hesitant to play it because it sounds overwhelming. It isn't overwhelming, but it is a difficult game. What are your thoughts on the MC of a Euden Chronicle? It's an okay character. As a unit, he's powerful. He might be one of the better units in the game. But personality-wise, he's just as generic as they come. But that's a game where the point of the game is not the character's personality. It could have been silent, and it would have made no difference whatsoever. Are you a fan of the soundtrack of Final Fantasy XIII? Since I'm not a fan of the game, I haven't really listened to it. Just a few tracks, and it's okay, it's good. I remember the loading times were brutal in Valkyria. PS3 version. The remaster got better. The loading times are far less, are faster and less frustrating. You should probably give Legaia 2 Dual Saga another chance. Probably one of these days. I found a full PDF Valkyria Chronicles art book on the website. I also left a link to it in the description of my video. I have a long PS4 backlog. Oh, you already asked that question. What have you heard about the trails though through Daybreak 2 Crimson Sin? Haven't heard anything. We'll probably get it next year. You think we'll ever get a third Valkyria game Chronicles released outside of Japan? Shh. I'm more worried about Valkyria Chronicles 5. What anime would you make a great RPG? What anime will make a great RPG and what gameplay style would you want in it? No offense, man, but I'm tired of answering that question. I'll always... It's like I get that question on every stream. Claymore. It will be a great action RPG. Do you believe that dreams never die? Isn't that a New Order song? I know that song on the guitar. It's kind of hard to play on D standard tuning, but I know the song on the guitar. It's called Dreams Never End, not Dreams Never Die. It's pretty much the same concept. 1983 song from their first album after Ian Curtis from Joy Division died, and they formed New Order. I love New Order from the 90s, 80s and 90s. 2000s, not so much. Actually, the late 90s, not so much either. Early 90s and 80s, New Order was a great band. Love them. I know that song on the guitar. That's harsh. Fuck generic shooters. That was harsh, man. What JRPG have you played with the longest loading times? Probably Spectral Souls on the PSP. Haha, man, that was annoying. I love Spectral Souls, you guys know that. But man, the loading times. Anyway. Any JRPGs you finished this year? Tons of them. Just look at my most recent videos. What's the best soda? I don't know, what's your favorite? Valkyria Chronicles 5? You mean they are in talks to develop it? No, I didn't say that. Okay, I have no idea what they're doing, but they haven't said anything, and I don't know what's going on in there. Do you know why PS1, PS2 JRPG classics not always are ported to PS5? It's probably got a lot to do with video game policies, like who owns the rights to this, and some games will be a pain in the ass to port. I don't know. It takes money and time to do something like that, so developers would rather focus most of their time in developing new games over porting old games. Yeah, I think that's my answer. That's my best answer because it takes a lot to port something and make it available for modern audiences, you know. Maybe that's why. Well, a game doesn't need to have a strong story focus to be considered as a JRPG. You still roleplay in terms of gameplay, you know, Atrian Odyssey. But yeah, those games, dungeon crawlers, there's barely any story, but there is a story. You need to keep playing it, but they aren't story-focused games. What are your thoughts on Valkyria Revolution? I just talked about it and I defended the game a million times. I'm surprised you're asking that question. Mediavision has gone in 6 years. Something happened? What do you mean? Oh, Mediavision hasn't done anything in 6 years? Really? Why don't you Google them? I'm pretty sure they've developed something or done something in the past few years. Maybe something mobile. For phones, right? But I'm pretty sure they're still very much alive. Did you play the Xenosaga trilogy? Yeah. If you have, what's your opinion? I think it's a great trilogy, man. I'm a big fan, especially the third game. I love it, and hoping we can see a remaster someday, but I doubt it because Bandai Namco is like the new modern Sega, making really weird and questionable decisions in the market, and it's kind of weird, right? do you think about the PS5? It's great. It's too expensive. It's great that it's backwards compatible. Just not with PS3, PS2, and PS1. It would be great to have a definitive PlayStation console that can play every single PlayStation game. But I don't think we've ever seen that before. And we probably never will. If I had to rank the PlayStation consoles from worst to best, you'll be surprised, you will be shocked with my answer. Well, actually, it depends. It's really hard to rank them because they're so different. Like, for example, in terms of hardware, I think the PS1 is the worst. But in terms of catalog, like in game library, definitely one of the best. The problem is that a lot of their games, a lot of the consoles games didn't age very well. But it was pretty much the golden age of RPGs. It would be pretty hard to rank the PlayStation consoles. It's very hard. But surprisingly, even though it's a great console and I love it, and it's pretty comfortable to play with, I'd say probably the PS5 is the worst. But we've only had the PS5 for 3.5 years. So we probably shouldn't even be ranking it. Because we need more time. We need the console to end first, to age, to be with us for more than a decade at least. So it would be pretty hard to rank the PS5. Definitely for me as the PS2. PS2, okay, my number one will be the PlayStation 2 because of what it achieved, not because it broke sales like crazy and it's the most sold video game console of all time, but because it just offered a huge variety in every single genre and offered a lot of great games on every single genre. Every single genre stood out like crazy, even shoot 'em ups. There were even a lot of great shoot 'em ups from the PS2 era. It just did everything that PlayStation 1 wanted to do. It did it, it achieved it, and it succeeded. And well, let's not forget about a crap ton of JRPGs in there. Some of them are my all-time favorites. And there's also a lot of really... I mean, video game developers were still experimental a lot. They were doing a lot of... there was a lot of originality and creativity in there. Some great ideas came from the PS2 and not the PS1. Or they were on the PS1, but they were not greatly executed, and they were executed much better on the PS2. Like some horror games got better in terms of controls, you know. You have tank control, annoying tank controls on horror games on PS1, and sure, some of them are classics, but PS2 controls got better. JRPGs are... PS1 and PS2 are just the same, you know, in terms of quality and storytelling. But PS2 saw a rise in the genre. I mean, PS1 needed to happen first in order for PS2 to succeed again in the JRPG market. So I could go on with the PS2, man. It was just a fantastic console. I think it's the best console ever. And then I will pick the PS4 because it did just the same. It corrected a lot of mistakes the PS3 did. It got better when it comes to gaming. Again, it's a console where you can just find a million great games from every single genre, and just playing on PS4 felt great. The controller is a blast. The PS4 controller, in my opinion, is the best fucking controller ever in video game history for me, personally. And I think it's a... I mean, it isn't retro compatible. That's the one thing that I resent. But we started seeing a lot of ports from PS2, right? So you can play all those PS2 games, a lot of PS2 games, not too many, but a lot of PS2 games on your PS4. And then there was this, I don't know, this enormous amount of JRPGs that are just freaking great. I think the PS4, when it comes to JRPGs, is its peak. It reached its maximum peak. Right now, because of localizations and repetitive and everybody copy-pasting ideas, everybody wants to be a Souls-like or an open-world game, I think this generation, like I mentioned like an hour ago, is going downhill. You know, but the PS4 was like it reached its peak when it comes to quality and storytelling and everything in JRPG. I mean, I love it, man. I love the PS4. That's why it's my second best one. But from there, you know, the other three, I just can't decide. PS1, PS3, PS5. There's just so much good in them, but also so much bad. PS1 was great for its time, you know, but it just didn't age very well. That's my problem. And PS2 aged well. Most PS2 JRPGs are still perfectly playable and enjoyable nowadays. Maybe not a lot of their games, other genres, but still, you know, it's not that old, the PS2, that's what I'm trying to say. And the PS1 does feel very old. But I love it nonetheless, and because I'm a JRPG fan, it's gonna have to be my number 3. So there you go. PS3 and PS5. I guess I'm gonna have to go with the PS3 because I've owned the PS3 for over a decade. Whereas the PS5, I've only owned it for less than a year. And the console itself is 3.5 years old, so nobody can have a strong opinion on the PS5 as opposed to the others. It's just it needs more time. That's my ranking. What lighthearted JRPG do you consider mature, and what dark JRPG do you consider childish? Mary Skelter Nightmares? This music, I know. Sorry guys, that was too loud. I love it. I love the fucking game. I don't care if the world thinks it's bad. I love it. It was my childhood. My childhood. That was great. What was the question? Okay, so again, what light-hearted JRPG do you consider mature, and what dark JRPG do you consider childish? Okay, I'll answer the second one first. I think the Mary Skelter trilogy is quite childish. It's very dark, and it's also kind of mature because there's a lot of sexiness in there, a lot of kinky stuff in there, but the comedy, the dialogue, the relationships between the characters, it's just one dumb game, man. It's dark, sure, but it's fucking dumb. It's childish. Dark and childish. Mist Over will be another one. Even though it's not really a story-focused game, the fact that you got all these chibi characters playing in the darkest dungeon influenced the video game. It's kind of like, come on, it's dark, sure, but it's also childish. The other question. And light-hearted JRPG that I consider mature, there's a lot of them, you know. Some of the Dragon Quest games, for example, or I'll tell you what, there's so many that I'm having trouble deciding which one. Like which one will be a perfect example of a light-hearted JRPG that's kind of mature. How about the Trail series? You know, they can get pretty mature. They're also full of comedy and light-hearted nature and writing. You know, power of friendship and stuff like that. But they can get pretty mature sometimes. Someone's mentioning Rogue Galaxy. Yeah, you know, there's also a lot of light-hearted nature in the game, but it can get dark. All the Seed arc was pretty dark, you know, so that's another one. Ni no Kuni, good example, extremely light-hearted, and there's some darkness to it, and some maturity about the character development since the beginning of the game, with the tragedy. So yeah, a good one. Have you noticed that the Nintendo GameCube's lackluster JRPG lineup essentially repeated the Nintendo 64's? Well, no man, I disagree because yes, the GameCube was lackluster in JRPGs, but it has way more than the 64. The 64 only has 4 JRPGs, and that's it. Well, the GameCube has more than 20. You don't believe me? Go watch my tier list video. I ranked every single one of them years ago. It has like 20-something, 25 JRPGs at least. So, wow. That's a lot compared to just 4, right? Have you made a game list? What? Do you like the Super Robot Wars series? Yes, I do. I'm a fan. I like The ones on the Game Boy Advance, the first one was a blast. Endless Frontier on the Nintendo DS was a blast. And I played some others that are not part of the series, but they influenced by it, like Relayer. Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest Super Robot Wars fans, but I like them. What JRPG you planning to play? Right now, I have a bunch of indie RPGs. I want to try it out first. So right now, I have no plans of playing any JRPG whatsoever. Maybe live, but my own personal time, I gotta get over this. Go through these indie RPGs first. What will be your top 5 games with bad gameplay but good story? Check out a video that I did exactly with that title. And it's not a top 5, it's a top 10. Top 10 JRPGs with bad gameplay with good story. That was like 3 years ago. Check out that video. And I also did the other one, good gameplay, bad story. I already did that idea 3 years ago, man. What made the Xbox 360 a slight success in Japan compared to the other JRPGs? Compared to other consoles, JRPGs. There were a lot of anime games, a lot of Japanese games. Microsoft took the console development, took part of it to Japan and allowed Japanese studios to develop games for it. So naturally, we saw a lot of JRPGs, a lot of shoot 'em ups, a lot of anime-style video games. So that's why the 360 was popular in Japan. Pretty much because there were far more Japanese games than in the original Xbox. I already played Final Fantasy 16 and I gave up on it after like 20 hours. Rebirth, I will play one day once the price drops. Will you prefer a good story, bad gameplay, or vice versa? I think it depends on the game, but I'm usually more leaning towards better gameplay. I can deal with slightly bad stories as long as the gameplay is awesome. Because they are video games, man. I mean, if the gameplay is bad, even though the story is great, if the gameplay is bad, why would you play it? It's a video game. A video game is meant to be played. I still think even in RPGs, the gameplay is the most important thing about it. Even though I used to think that the story was the most important thing about an RPG, but not anymore. Did you beat Octopath Traveler 2? Yes, I did last year and I freaking loved it. One of the best JRPGs last year, man. Probably the best. Probably the best. But it's up there with Star Ocean's Second Story Remake and Trails into Reverie for me. Another one bringing up the Valkyria Chronicles video last... Oh man, that's awesome. Thank you guys for bringing up my video. Thanks a lot, and I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. It was an awesome video to do, and I loved it. And I will continue making other videos like that. 10 things you did not... There's another one coming up probably next week. I'm not gonna promise anything though. But yeah, thanks for the support. I'm glad to know you guys enjoyed the video. Remember, you guys can watch it even if you haven't played the game. There's no need to play the game to watch it. It's got a lot of interesting development. Have you watched Babylon 5? No. I'm definitely the wrong person to make Mass Effect videos, as I am not a fan of the series. Nothing against it, I just couldn't get into it. Is there a game with a gameplay system you found the most entertaining but couldn't find it in any other game? Valkyria Chronicles. Of course, there's XCOM, right? Of course, so it doesn't count. Maybe Yggdra Union. Well, I get the feeling there's another game with a morale bar. Not The Last Remnant. Definitely not that piece of shit. Yggdra Union's another one. In my opinion, the Fire Emblem series have the best tactical combat. Well, it's my favorite tactical combat when it comes to strategy RPGs. So there we go. Oh man. What else? That's a tough question, man. A game with a great battle system that I couldn't find anywhere else? I will have to revisit my video about the most unique battle systems. So I remember Yggdra Union is there, it's a pretty fun system, it's just too fucking hard, so that can't be my answer. And the Suikoden series have unique battle systems because they mixed several systems, you know. That's where their uniqueness comes from. But every single battle system in the Suikoden series, separately, it's not that unique. And you can easily find other games like with similar battle mechanics, so definitely not. Damn, Grandia? No, there are others that are similar to it. It's not that unique or original. Well, there are some that are unique and original, but not that much, you know, Grandia, Shadow Hearts, Lane of Legaia. Sure, they have a small thing that makes them stand out, but it's not like, wow, super unique. No. Super creative? No, not really. Restaurants of Fate is pretty damn unique, but I fucking hate the game. So that can't be my answer. Eternal Sonata. I feel that there's another one. I feel like there's another one that has a similar battle mechanic. It's escaping me right now. Because Eternal Sonata is turn-based, and then you gotta move your character towards the enemy and make a position to be. Oh, the Dead End Request, right? Dead End Request 1 and 2 have similar battle mechanics, pretty similar to Eternal Sonata. But Eternal Sonata is it's just very unique. And in Dead End Request 1 and 2, you toss the enemies around, they bump into each other, or they bump in the screen, in the walls, you know, and do more damage. It's pretty unique, and I love it. And I can't, other than Eternal Sonata, I can't think of other like it. So those two will be up there as some of my favorite battle systems that are extremely unique, and I can't find anywhere else. I didn't like The Last Remnant. That's why I said that game, no. Last Remnant was bad, in my opinion. Astral Chain? No, it's not that unique. I mean, you do control two characters at the same time, but... yeah, it's unique, alright, but not that unique. Okay, maybe. I did a video called Top 25 Most Unique Battle Systems in JRPGs last year, which is pretty much a remake of a trilogy of videos I did like 6 years ago, holy shit. So check it out. Chrono Cross. I don't absolutely love the battle system in Chrono Cross, but it's pretty unique. And what else is there? I mean, it's hard to find something like it. 13 Sentinels, it's not that unique. It's merely a real-time strategy game. You have this turn-based option where you select one character, the direction you want them to go, and the action they are supposed to execute, and that's it. There's nothing that original in 13 Sentinels. It's a good combat, though. I'm a big fan of strategy RPGs and real-time strategy RPGs, so I loved it, but it's not that unique. Vagrant Story, that's unique. Okay, I'll give you that, but couldn't get into the game. Same with Front Mission. I think I prefer Parasite Eve. I love that battle mechanic in Parasite Eve. Final Fantasy 12. Again, not that unique, but good. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was a blast. But I can't pick Xenoblade Chronicles 3 because the battle system is pretty much an evolution of the previous games. So it's not like, oh, the battle system is nowhere to be found anywhere else. But some unique perks to Xenoblade Chronicles 3, some unique details in the battle system, I can't find them anywhere else. Like the chain combo system, where you start doing that and you click buttons and then the chain attacks. Chain attacks are pretty common, you know, but not in the way they are executed in Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Valkyrie Profile, it's also a pretty unique game. Valkyrie Profile 2, definitely, where you can you have stationary enemies, right? And it's like a little bit like Eternal Sonata. You gotta take your characters, your whole party there. In Eternal Sonata, you only take one character with you, and in Valkyrie Profile, you can take the whole party, or you can do it separately. Separately, it's a bit harder though. I was never able to pull that off because I getting my ass kicked. But sometimes, if you want to trigger an enemy attack, you can use one tank, separate that tank from the party, have the enemy beat the crap out of that character, and then counterattack with the rest of the party. Valkyrie Profile 2 Silmeria definitely has a battle system that I haven't seen anywhere else. Definitely one of the most unique and original battle systems ever, period. I guess that will be my answer. Rhapsody? Come on, it's just greed-based combat, man. Final Fantasy VIII, No, not really. It's just regular turn-based combat with the junction system. Yeah, there's some uniqueness to it, but no, not really, not really. Magna Carta, yeah, probably because you got this ring, and you gotta click the right button at the right time to make it work, which is also why the game is really challenging. That combat, but it's unique, certainly unique. Yeah, I will put it up there. With Legaia, we mentioned Legaia too. I haven't talked about Dead End Request Code Z, but I watched the trailer a couple of days ago, and honestly, I'm interested, but it looks like a dumb spin-off. I don't think it's gonna be that great of a game, but I'll play it. I'll definitely play. I'm a fan of the first two games. Characters from those two games will appear in this new one. The protagonist looks very interesting. Huge breasts and shit. But it's a roguelike. I mean, I'm not really a fan of roguelikes, but I'll give it a chance, definitely. It's gonna be released this year in Japan. Who knows when we'll get it? Probably next year. Death End Request has a different subtitle. Anyway, I want a sequel to Astral Chain. Me too! That would be great. I would personally like a sequel to Astral Chain, though I get the feeling it's never gonna happen. Platinum Games aren't that known for developing sequels. But yeah, sure. I would love to play Astral Chain 2. Final Fantasy 13 unique? Yeah. I didn't like it, but yeah. Do you play any Musou games? Yes, I have played some, especially the ones that are pretty much action RPGs. Dragon Quest Heroes 1 and 2 were some of my favorites, or are my favorites. But I've played some Dynasty Warriors game. I beat the second one a long time ago on the PlayStation 2. That was bonkers. The only Dynasty Warriors game I've ever played. Utawareru Mono-san, I haven't finished it, but it was pretty fun what little I played. One of these days I'll go back to it. That was great too. Fire Emblem Warriors was kind of like meh. And I'm not interested in playing the sequel, which, I mean, the localization was horrendous. Horrendous, man. Do you think Nintendo's Kitty image hurt the reception of the GameCube? No, not really. I don't think so. I think the GameCube's biggest problem was that it was a really small disc. So first and foremost, there was no retro compatibility in an era where the PlayStation 2 was retro compatible. One of the biggest features of the PS2 was its retro compatibility, and GameCube didn't have that. Besides, Nintendo's always been expensive, so games were more expensive on GameCube than on PS2 or Xbox. Another big issue. And that's it, right? Well, it didn't have that many issues in my opinion. Why do you prefer Code Vein over Dark Souls? Because I'm a story-driven guy. I prefer story-driven stories with tech characters, character development, party members, stuff like that. And it focuses a lot on gothic stuff and vampires and shit, and I'm into that. Whereas Dark Souls is just the lore and that's all you got, and it's kind of boring in my opinion. That's why I prefer Code Vein over Dark Souls any day. Oh, and the fan service, man. But even if Code Vein didn't have any fan service whatsoever, I will still prefer Code Vein a million times over any Dark Souls game. How about The World Ends With You? Pretty unique battle system too. Do you think in the short term we will hit another game industry breakdown like in the 80s? You missed it, man. I talked about that about an hour ago. It's probably gonna be a topic for my second channel. Yeah, the first Dynasty Warrior was a 2D fighting game. Was it 3D? And it's actually pretty decent. I like the Dynasty Warriors fighting game. Huh. Berserk Musou is fun, haven't played it. That's on PS4, right? It was released a few years ago. There was another one on Dreamcast, I haven't played it either. And another one on PS2. Fist of the North Star. That's the newest one, right? Like Lost in Paradise, right? Yeah, it's a good one, but it's more of a Shenmue game, Yakuza type of game. It's pretty similar to the Yakuza games. The first ones, not the turn-based RPGs. The first Yakuza games, Shenmue, Grand Theft Auto, a bit like that, you know. Fist of the North Star, Lost in Paradise. Yeah, good game. It's so often dirt cheap digital PlayStation stores. I see it often for like $5. It's worth picking up for that price. Between Xenogears and Chrono Cross, which game did you think had a better story? Well, those two are my favorite JRPG stories of all time, but I think Xenogears beats it a bit. It's just better, more well-written, more mature, more philosophical, more psychological, darker. Xenogears has my favorite JRPG story of all time, and Cross is a second place. Nier will be probably a third place. Nier Gestalt. What is a JRPG character you wanted to like but couldn't? A JRPG character I wanted to like but couldn't? Tidus, probably. Yeah, Tidus, because sometimes he had these funny moments and jokes. Sometimes he was relatable. But in the end, I just couldn't. Fuck that guy. He's an idiot, and most of the time he isn't funny. He's a bad protagonist, in my opinion. Tidus. Van, I gave up. Final Fantasy 12, I gave up from the start. I was like, why is this guy the protagonist? He's fucking irrelevant. What's he doing here? You know, I didn't even try to like him. But Tidus, I did try to like him. Who else? I tried to like Avan from Valkyria Chronicles 2. I really tried. I was like, some parts, some things was like, he was funny, and his whole brother arc was good too. But in the end, I was like, this, oh my god, Luke from Tales of the Abyss. But Luke, I ended up liking at the end. He comes through, you know, and he's a decent protagonist. But it takes a lot of time to get there, for him to get there. 80% of the game, he's a fucking jackass, man, and so unlikable. So, in the end, I just couldn't like him that much. Yeah. Some of the Atelier protagonists, man. Aisha, for example, Meruru. I tried, I was like, okay, she's gonna grow on me, I know she will. She didn't. At the end of the game, I was like, no fucking way. Like, Rorona grew on me, I love Rorona. Say whatever you want about that game. I love Rorona. The Shallies. I love Shalistera. The one with the black hair. But even the other one, I didn't end up loving her, but she kind of grew on me. Charlotte. One of the shortest miniskirts ever in a JRPG character. They tease us in that game over and over again with some battle animations. She kind of grew on me, right? But yeah, Aisha, for example, never grew on me. She was just as generic as the beginning of the game. In the end, she was the same generic girl. Risa is kind of a mixed bag. Anyway, that's enough examples. Which character you thought you will hate but ended up loving? Let's see. I thought I will hate but ended up loving. I just gave you an example of a character that I thought will hate but ended up liking, just not loving. That's a stronger word. And that was the other Shally from Atelier Shally. Character that I thought will hate but ended up loving. Wow, let me think. It's gotta be one of those many lolly characters. Like, I hate lollies in JRPGs, right? But there's a few of them that I actually like. It's gotta be one of those that I was like, oh my god, this little fucking girl is gonna be annoying as hell, you know? And at the end I was like, oh my god, I loved her. Who, though? There's gotta be one. Come on, memory. Don't fail me right now. There's gotta be one. I can't think of one right now because most of the time, you know, I end up hating the characters no matter what. Annoying lollies. Or jackasses, you know, the classic like Zelos from Tales of Symphonia. Fuck that guy. I mean, he never grew on me and I hated him the entire game. Hated him again in Symphonia 2. Never grew on me. Here's one. Martha. Not a lolly, but Martha from Tales of Symphonia 2. Wow, I'll never forget. At the beginning I was like, there's just something off with this girl. She's too something, you know. She's like really upbeat and kind of a jerk sometimes and kind of like idol-ish behavior. I don't know, I thought I would hate Martha and I ended up loving her. Sure, I don't fucking love her like, oh, passionate. No. She's one of my favorite Tales characters, no. But I loved her at the end. She grew on me. Yeah, there's a special place in my heart for Martha from Symphonia 2. Definitely. Edna from Cesteria? No. I never hated Edna, but I never loved her either. She was just fine. She's a good character with good moments and bad moments, and that's it. She's an okay character for me. I see why a lot of people hate her, and I see why a lot of people love her. But she was just right there. Magilu from Berseria. Now that I'm playing it again, oh yeah, that was the first time I played that game. My god, man, I hated Magilu with a passion. I was like, this isn't funny. She's just a dumbass. Her dialogue seems forced. My god, and she was, this outfit she had, like, really colorful and dumb, and the books around her, I was like, man, no. But she grew on me a lot, and she kept on growing and growing and growing, and I fucking love her. Magilu is one of my favorite female characters across the Tale series. Definitely, I fucking love Magilu now. Perfect example to answer your question, Magilu. I really thought I would hate her. Tita? Nah, Tita is just like Edna for me. She's like, okay. I never hated Tita. I like Tita. But she never quite grew on me, She was just okay-ish at best. There was a moment, a very small moment at the beginning of Trails in the Sky where I thought I would hate Estelle. Yeah, I know. You're probably gonna be like, what? The biggest Estelle fanboy admits that he kinda hated her at the beginning, but it was just short-lived. After the first 2-3 hours of the game, I started to fall in love with Estelle more and more. It didn't last long. But yeah, funny story. Controversial story for me. Nanako from Persona 4. Never grew on me, man. Never. I prefer Maiko from Persona 3. And her scene made me cry. There's a scene with her and her parents. Oh my god, it's just, I couldn't resist. Broke into fucking tears, man. But no, Nanako from Persona 4, she was like annoying the whole game. I don't hate her, but I don't think I like her. Speaking about Persona 4, no. Maybe Chie. I don't love Chie, but I'll admit she grew on me. At the beginning I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna hate this character so much. But no, at the end I was like, she's alright. I like her. But love her? No. Yukiko was the opposite, I don't hate Yukiko and she's my girl. And I romanced Yukiko in that game. But it's the opposite, I loved her during the first hours. I was like, I love her. I fucking love her. But then eventually it went down. I still love her, but my love decreased a bit. At the end I was like, I don't know. She didn't get the best character development in the game, Persona 4. Ren from Trails in the Sky. Same with Edna, I like Ren. And obviously I like Ren more, way more as an adult. In Cold Steel 4 or Reverie. But I wasn't there. I don't know what people see in Ren, to be honest. I know she's a tragic character, and if you play Trails in the Sky the third, you understand her arc, and she's such a tragic character, and people love their tragic characters. I know that, but I hated Ren in the Sky trilogy. I fucking hated Ren. But when she grew up, she was alright. I didn't love her, but she was alright, Yukiko was very, very boring at first. What I'm trying to say is that it was the opposite for me. She was like amazing, and then she got a little bit boring near the end. Sans in Undertale. Haven't played Undertale. I will one of these days. Shion in Tales of Arise. No, I loved her from the beginning all the way till the end. Maybe Rinwell, but I don't think so. Rinwell is just like Yukiko. At the beginning, I was like, hey, I like this character, but she never grew on me. She never. Same of the guy. What was his name? The guy fights with his fist. The kid, that kid, he was like, man. This guy, okay, let's see if this guy grows on me. He never did. I don't hate a single character in Arise, though. I don't hate a single one of them. Law. Thanks. Law. He was like, eh. The guy, the red-haired guy, brown skin, pretty useful in battle. That guy was also like, I know this guy looks intellectual, he's gonna grow on me. No. At the end, he was like, I don't care about this guy. Couldn't care less about this guy. What's the name of that guy? Characters I like in Rise: Alphen, Xion, and the other girl with the big shield. So many characters in the Tale series, man, that I fucking hell. I had it on the tip of my tongue. Guys. Kisara, thanks. I love Kisara. One of my favorite characters in the game. Dohalim. Yeah, I really wanted to like Dohalim, but he never grew on me. I was expecting that moment, that awesome character development. I mean, oh, this guy is awesome, but no. So Alphen, Xion, and Kisara made the game for me. The other three are like, meh. Grandia 1 and 2, both main girls. I love Sue. I know she's not the main, but I love Sue. I mean, come on. If you create and develop a character like Justin, and then develop a character for like Sue for Justin, to be that kind of opposite, I love Sue. To keep him in check, who doesn't love Sue? I love Sue. Fina, though, I don't know, she never quite grew on me. I like her, I just don't love her, she's okay. And then Grandia 2 has a special... because it's special because you got these two girls, which is two characters in the body of one girl, right? And I love her both because they are exact opposites in everything. But the one thing they have in common is that they're both in love with Ryudo. Fucking threesome, that guy. But yeah, I love them. I love them from the start. Anyway, who's your favorite JRPG character of all time? Probably Harley from Chrono Cross. Yeah, Harley from Chrono Cross. I love her. I fucking love her. I love Oswald from Odin Sphere. Favorite male character. That sounded kind of weird. I'm not into guys, but he's such a badass and a tragic character, and his development, I can't relate to him, I like Oswald from Odin Sphere. Probably my favorite male character. Female character, Harley from Chrono Cross. Yeah. Demon Girl was awesome. Demon Girl? Oh, Millennia. You mean Millennia. Yeah, she was awesome. Definitely awesome. Dio voice actor, so auto-include for me. What? What is the most generic JRPG ever? Ah, man, there's this little company, really old company, one of the oldest video game companies of all time. It starts with a K and has been publishing a crap ton of extremely generic JRPGs for the past 10 or 15 years. I just can't think of the name, man. It starts with a K. Anyway, you can pick any game from that company. Antagonists that you felt empathy for. Woo, man. I don't know, I'll have to look at my collection and think of one. Let's think of the most recent RPGs that I've beaten. Okay, so Mato Anomalies. It's kind of weird. No empathy. Though I understand what the bad guys were trying to do. And I don't want to spoil anything, but I could have felt some empathy, but for some reason I didn't. So Infinite Wealth? Definitely not. Well, I understand there's two main antagonists in that game. And the antagonist from Japan, let's leave it at that without spoiling, I understand what he was trying to achieve. But I wouldn't call that empathy. Like, I understand, I see it, why, but I don't really accept that. I can't put myself in his shoes, you know? What else is there? So, Eiyuden Chronicle. No empathy for that guy. He's not as evil as Luca Blight from Suikoden 2, but no, man, empathizing with a fucking tyrant like that? No way, man. Who else? Come on. What was there? Persona 3 Reload, which is the same antagonist as the original versions. Yeah, totally. But it's kind of weird to empathize with a character like that. I can't discuss my empathy for the main antagonist in Persona 3 because it's a big fucking spoiler, so let's just forget about that. But we can use the other guys, right? The three, Chidori and Takaya and... Was it Takaya? Yeah, those guys, right? Nah, you know... Chidori, you can empathize with her because of her arc and development. No, let's not spoil anything. But the other two guys are like, kiss my fucking ass, man. Fuck these guys. I don't know. No empathy there. How about Unicorn Overlord? Well, Unicorn Overlord is more on the political side of things. Like, it's just politics. It's just... I mean, you do understand the motivations of the main character and why he did what he did, but I'm a firm believer of the quote, "The end does not justify the means." So fuck this guy. How about Grand Blue Fantasy Relink? Same, it's the cultist mentality, the fanatic mentality, trying to revive the ancient evil, and no, that's just evil, man. I can't relate to characters like that. To me, that's just like the political warfare from nowadays. The cancel culture people are just like freaking cultists, you know. So fanatic. They act like that, like freaking fanatics from a cult, man. It's just, it's sad. Can't relate to characters like that are so extreme. Anyway, hope that answers your question. Maybe it doesn't. Kane from Final Fantasy IV, okay. Yeah, that's a good one. Chrono Trigger antagonist? Gilead Osborne. Again, I understand what he was trying to achieve, but he's just like the guy from Eiyuden Chronicle or Unicorn Overlord. I mean, he's just the end. I mean, the means don't justify the end. It's just no. But yeah, I mean, I agree. At the beginning, his intentions were like something anybody can empathize with. You know, when you finally know why he did what he did, but then it got off the rails from there. Gilead Osborne. So it became harder and harder to empathize with a character like Gilead Osborne. Folu, the woke mentality, that right there, the end justifies the means. Yeah, they think they can fight for their equal rights by crushing people and ruining lives and attacking everybody, and come on, man. Delita, who's that? Ha! You're done, man. I've tolerated a lot of fucking things from you, man. Go fuck yourself. That was a funny question, man, and a funny tease, but I mean, you're clearly a fucking troll, man. Get the fuck out of my stream. What do you think about Tearing of Berwick Saga? I haven't played Berwick Saga. Tearing Saga, I played it on the PlayStation 1, fan translated, and holy shit, man. One of the most brutally, stupidly hard video games I've played in my whole life. I loved it, but it's so hard, man. I don't think I'll ever play that game again. I have no idea how I beat that game, but I did. Miraculously, I beat it. I'm never playing it again. But it's a great game to beat once in a lifetime. What is your guilty pleasure in JRPGs? Atelier. It's always been my biggest guilty pleasure in JRPG history. Well, that's it, guys. I think I gotta go now. Last questions. So many people trying to make it big with music, books, films with no luck. That's because the market is oversaturated. Everybody's a content creator. Everybody's an artist. Everybody is everything nowadays. Everybody can do anything because of the internet. It's saturated. I have no advice, man, because I'm not really a successful author. I'm not far from it. I'm a starving artist, man. So I have no advice. Do you have any advice for me? I should be asking you guys for that. The cross and tag. Who was Delita? Final Fantasy Tactics? Oh, I never beat that game. That's why. Tales of Vesperia antagonist. Not too hard to empathize with that character, but maybe. Chrono Cross. You mean Lynx, alright? Yeah. Well, he was just... It's not funny, Sean. I'm a starving artist, man. That's a tragedy. It's not funny. You asshole. Cross, Lynx is just like the guy from Persona 3, man. I can't explain my empathy because it will be a big spoiler. But let's just say that I did end up empathizing with Lynx at the end. I haven't played Ace Attorney. I know this series, of course, but I haven't played a single one of those games. But the real antagonist in Chrono Cross was hard to empathize with. Well, again, I can't. Spoilers. Yeah, good topic, guys. Good conversation about empathizing with antagonists or JRPG characters that grew on me and that I thought I would hate. You know, that was great. Great conversations we had there. Yeah, had a blast, everybody. But I gotta go now. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and we'll see each other next Sunday probably. Thanks for watching, and be on the lookout for new videos, new stuff coming out. Nothing but new stuff. Take care.